I'd heard this a couple of times, but then I found it, or I heard it being actually a reference in Shir. So when I found it, I was able to like actually look it up and learn it. So it's a really I don't even know how to describe it. It is a very powerful approach from Rav Yeruchem on what menuchah means. So he's talking about it from the perspective of the psukim in parshas vayechi, where Yaakov is giving the blessings to each of his sons, and by Yisachar it says vayar menucha ki tov, and it says vayet shichma lisbol. So it's a difficult pasuk to understand because on the one hand it says he saw menucha, it's good, and usually when we think of menuchas we think of sort of rest, relaxation, something like that. But then it says, and he puts his shoulder into it to carry the burden. So what does that mean exactly? So Rav Yeruchem says, Ha'inyan hinei ha'olam toim utmehim al kodesh baruch al she ha'kodesh baruch hu nasan lisras haTorah asher midarchei kinyaneha halo hu hayishuv v'hamenucha. Says the world asks a big question, and it seems to be confounded by the idea that we receive the Torah, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu set the scene for us to receive the Torah in the midbar. You would think that it would be in a place of menucha, of a place where we can sort of be comfortable and rest, relax, and be able to focus specifically on Kabbalas HaTorah. Menuchas nefesh beli shum mafrim klal v'klal, right? There should be anything that interrupts us, that disrupts us as we're receiving the Torah. V'haya roi shetimnasin lahem davka be'eretz Yisrael, and it should have been given in specifically in Eretz Yisrael. Bioso kulam ish tachas gafno v'ish tachas te'inaso. Each person in his field, underneath his fig tree or his or in his orchard. V'hine nidna lehem b'matzav shehu kotza hevech mamash. But that's but the actual place that it was given is completely the opposite. The midbar shamem, in a desolate wilderness. Asher ein kolahem, and when they had nothing. Achar v'yancha v'yarivecha. The pasuk in the Devarim says that they were stressed and they were starving. Achrei kol ha'iyunim inuyim v'tiltulim b'shviras haguf kazu v'azu shenasam la'emes haTorah. And after everything that they'd been through as slaves in Mitzrayim, and now coming out in the breaking, really breaks your body to be in the midbar. This is how HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us the Torah. So amitas hadevarim kenhu. But he said this is actually a powerful truth for us to understand. That this is what the Torah is coming to teach us. Just as it was given to us, this is what we have to learn as well. How are we mesugal? How are we able to receive the Torah? There's no question that you have to have menucha in order to receive the Torah. You have to have that sort of your mind has to be able to be engaged in it. Nikra menucha be'emes, but what is menucha? And that's what Hashem is teaching us in the way that He gave us the Torah, specifically in the wilderness. And the world around us makes the mistake. Those who don't understand how the midos of a person operate. The world around us thinks that menucha is all about specifically around the body, meaning that you're getting that physical rest and relaxation. It says, but that cannot be further from the truth. menuchios haguf umimilu koi tzorchav adara behi mekor habilbul. He says, when you have that complete rest and relaxation and nothing, no care in the world, that sort of situation, that's not menucha, that's actually the source for confusion. Once you accustom yourself that that's the only way you can have menucha saguf is when you have you're lacking nothing, you have no care in the world. That if that's how you think about it, that means that anytime you arrive at a situation that you're not used to, that is sort of throwing you a curveball, it's going to break you. And it's not really giving you menucha, it's making it more difficult for you to do anything, because anytime you're throwing that curveball, it throws you off. So it says, "Hachafetz limtza menucha ayedei menucha saguf dome la'adam sheshofech shemen al eish leman lekvoso or la'adam sheshose mayim luchim lereves simono." He says that if that's the type of menucha you're looking for, it's almost like the person who is throwing oil on the fire in order to put it out, or who's drinking salt water in order to quench his thirst. Maybe for a split second it seems to be helping, but after a split second you realize that the situation's actually gotten worse. That, he says, is that's the trap that you fall into if that's how you think about menucha. And that's what he means by that's the source of bilbo, meaning that it's not preparing you for this world, which is a world of that we're constantly being thrown curveballs. Menucha ha'amitis hamida hanitzrechas lekabbalas haTorah lo titachen ki im bishviras haguf. And true menucha is, and what you require for kabbalas haTorah really can only happen when you have this shviras haguf. It's a difficult situation. Binata mimenu rov nichyosav behamid kol tanugosav, and it's a situation where you aren't rested and you don't have pleasures. V'im nimros kol zeh lo yishaver el amatzav lo yamod benuchos yishar, and as a result, it doesn't break you, and through that situation you are able to stand, and you do have, and the menucha remains with you, meaning that the menucha, the tranquility in your mind, remains. Ki az hi hamenucha shayada misugo ha'adam lekabbalas haTorah, and that is the menucha that you need to be misugo for kabbalas haTorah. Ve'echi yatzliach ha'adam lavo l'ishtalmus kazosha. How can a person be successful? How do you do this? Achasi aderech she tovilu lezu hamenucha shlema b'shumu leneged einav tamid rak tachlis achas. B'sumo leneged einav tamid rak tachlis achas. You have to be focused on on one purpose. Like we say today, you have to be mission driven, right? You have your mission statement and you stick to it. Achar she's barer v'yizamiz etzel ha'adam ma'achovaso ba'olamo v'lama tzarich sheyasim mabato m'gamaso kol yemei chayav. You have to have that mission of what am I here? What is my chiyuv in the world? What am I here to do? And that's what you stick to no matter what happens to you. Ki alkein imatze tami b'matzav echod mikivun le'osa hatachlis v'nimsa tami b'matzav echod etzlo lo yitachen lo hashvira v'lo atirda. And then when other things come up that you have to deal with, you're focused on, okay, I have to deal with the leaky sink or whatever it is, or I'm not feeling well today, or whatever the situation is, but it doesn't change what your mission is and what you're here to accomplish. Kimasha anu roim ba'anashim min hatirda v'ashvira hu mizeh shehem chaim b'matzavim rabim v'shonim. And what we see people experiencing, what people end up having, is all these different situations that they face, and they come to break the person. You're sort of always jumping, and that person's always sort of reactive and jumping from one situation. I guess what we say, you're a firefighter, you're putting out one fire and jumping to the next. One pulls you in one direction, and the other matzav pulls you in a different direction. And you're not able to get any kind of quiet. You're not able to function. So that's what he's saying, is that's we have to realize that is the olam, that is olam hazeh. But we have the ability, if we think about it, if we just focus on what is my goal and what are my objectives, and I stick to my mission. And he now gives the example of what's maybe an example in this world where we see that play out. And he says, Chayil, Shemalamdim oso lihios muchan liyom krav. Soldiers, when we're training them to be ready for battle, v'tanai ha'ikari lezehu hamenucha. And the only way you can be prepared for battle is this menuchah, right? In your mind, you have to be settled and calm. When we're talking about battle, you can't imagine any greater storm that's going on. That is right. Something that is literally coming to that this life is depending on what happens. Hello, berosh v'rishon nitzra chuli lahachzik atzma b'chol hatokiv v'shar omed b'chol menucha shlema. And in order to be successful as a soldier, you have to maintain that cool and that calm and that quiet in your mind. In his ragilim she'osim es achayil hazem mochem letachlis zos in club and milu called tzorchav niuchosav. They're not giving them R&R. That's not how they prepare for war. Is they don't go on vacation. And as soon as makom la menuchan la anegoso ba'achilavish tiyaso el adarava ikar his regilim hu lahargil also lahachzik matzav gam berako niuchosav. No, they do the opposite, right? They take away every one of life's pleasures. And they now do all kinds of things to hurry them up. They wake them up at all kinds of crazy hours. They don't let them sleep. They make them march and run and do all kinds of things that just break the body. And what they learn from this, and what they're teaching the soldiers, what they're training them from this, is that no matter what situation you face, they're irrelevant. They're not anything. You only have one purpose. Your job is to be that soldier, whatever it is that your job is specifically, whether it's to man a specific rifle, a gun, your artillery, whatever it is, that is your job. Nothing else matters. And specifically, when they take away everything and all the creature comforts, that's through doing that, through really breaking you apart. That's how they build up this inside your mind, this menuchah, this quiet and this calm and this collective nature. And in order to he says that's true for Kabbalas Torah as well, that through in the midbar, when we are struggling and suffering and all that, once you can put up with and successfully deal with the situation of being in the desert, in that wilderness of that desolate desert, and it doesn't take away any of your menucha, but that can't happen. That would not have happened had we been given it in Eretz Yisrael. takana menucha, not sitting underneath in your field, underneath your fig tree. Zehu ha'inyan asher ne'amar b'Yisachar v'yar menucha kitov, and that's why it says by Yisachar that he saw menucha kitov, that menucha is good. Hine hikir ma'as menucha. He saw the advantage. He saw the state, the situation of menucha. Shehu tov v'hatachlis amekufan v'yosar hashevet asher ne'amar alav b'nei Yisachar yodi bina leitim. And we know that Yeruchem oskum Torah, right? we know from Chazal that Yisachar was one of the Shvatim, was very focused on learning Torah. So that's why this pasuk of Vayar Menucha Kitov is about Yisachar. Yadagam ki hamenucha hi tanai leTorah. That is, this type of menucha is a tanai. It's a requirement. It's something that you need, a dependency for Torah. Uma asa, but what did he do? Ayit shichma lispo. He puts his shoulder into it in order to carry the burden. Bislamdus lisbo re menuchaso. By doing that, by being prepared and by teaching him, training himself to deal with to sort of suffer through, that becomes his menucha. That is true menucha. Zeu amram zal ki darka shotora pas b'melech tocho ma'im b'shmura b'mashura tishta v'alharetz tishan v'chayit sar tichya ki az ubetorah ata ano. That's what the mission of us is telling us, is that that's specifically how we can be successful in Torah, is by putting away or putting aside all of the earthly pleasures and focusing just on the Amelis and Torah. He quotes from the Alter Bekelm. Says when the pasuk says that, right, when they left Mitzrayim, right, they had to put the dough on their shoulders and their backs, and that's how it cooked. They didn't have time for it to rise. They were, vanquished. They were expelled. But there's also a pasuk that tells us that Yetzias Mitzrayim was Leo Shimurim. What does that mean? The Ramban explains, I think, and others too, that Leo Shimurim means that we knew it was coming. It was a date that was set, that this is when Yetzias Mitzrayim is going to happen. So Nimsa she'es Yetzias Mitzrayim haisa muchena so yoda lahem mikodem. They knew it was on the schedule. So why did it have to be such a hurry, such a sudden sort of being expelled? Why didn't HaKadosh Baruch Hu tell Moshe Rabbeinu to tell Bnei Yisrael, listen, this is what's happening. This is what's going to happen. At midnight, we're going to be expelled. We're not going to have time to bake matzahs. Bake them early. Make sure you've got your challahs ready for Yantif. He says, "V'omer al zeh," the Alter says, "Ki shemos ki samo osam b'matzav shekazeh." No, Kadosh Baruch Hu purposely put him into that situation. Kadei sheyeh lahem zeh lebechino lachona rishona lekabbalas Torah. This was a test. It was a preparation, the first one for Kabbalas Torah. She'i matzav zeh yishborosam, because if this had completely broken us, then we would have known this is not going to work. We're never going to be able to live up to Kabbalas Torah.
Jeff, sorry, one little question.
Yeah.
That is very interesting, but very complex to understand. God knows all the dates. Otherwise, we're limiting him. So why in this case, it seems that is the one time that God knows, and all the other times is God reacting to what we do? I think God knows everything that's going to happen regardless of our decisions.
Right.
Isn't that a comment?
So this is right. So this is, I go right. So God knew that this was going to be Yetzias Mitzrayim. That's really the question. That's what the Alter Mekelm is asking. And not only did God know that it seemed like we knew, at least maybe we didn't know the specific time, or maybe we didn't know the circumstances, but we knew that Yetzias Mitzrayim was coming. But Hashem set the whole stage, and maybe maybe it's worth just taking a step back and asking the question more directly. Where he's going with this is, why did Hashem have to create a situation where, from the beginning of Yetzias Mitzrayim all the way through Kabbalas Torah, thinking about everything that happened to Bnei Yisrael, for the last 210 years, knowing how much they've already suffered, why doesn't he just bring us into Eretz Yisrael right away and let us receive the Torah in Eretz Yisrael, in a beautiful land with menuchah? And what he's setting the stage is to say is that no, it required, Kabbalas Torah required us to be in a situation of this constant battle. Really, it's an internal struggle, but we see it as an external struggle. When we leave, first we're thrown out of Mitzrayim, then we're thrown up against, you got the Yam Suf on one side, you've got the army of Mitzrayim coming at us, we're sandwiched in between them, we're literally stuck between a rock and a hard place. Why all of this in order for Kabbalas Torah? Why did Hashem have to do all this? Hashem, to your point, not only did he know it, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu could have, literally just transported us into Eretz Yisrael, instantly. Why all of this? And the Alter Mekem is teaching us, and this is what Rabbi Yeruchem is telling us, is all of that was staged. It all was necessary for us to be prepared and to understand what it means to receive the Torah, and what it means for us to have the Torah and to learn Torah. Is that we have to understand that Olam Hazeh is a constant struggle and a constant set of battles, and it's supposed to be. This is what life is, but we have to. The test for us is that we have to keep the menuchah inside our head, keep our mission statements very focused, and we know no matter what curveballs were thrown, that this is what we have to do. And he says, I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit, but he says, Anshe Olam rechokin legamri mizeh. He says, the world around us is so far from this, and they hold fast to their mistake. They think about rest and relaxation and taking vacations. And he says, not only that, he says, this is just confusion. He says, right? It's your wedding day, and the flowers aren't right, or the chairs aren't right, or the decorations, or the whatever it is isn't right. Everything's like thrown into a complete chaos. Why is that? It's a wedding. This is just, it's not about the food or the flowers or the whatever else or the pictures. This is about starting a new family and starting, right, and having children, and like it's just that start of a whole life. It's not about any one of those little silly details, but yet we get so confused and confounded when these sort of things happen, when just curveballs are thrown at us. And then he says also, like, we have this idea. He says, He says, he says, this is something that's always being told, is that this is a new life for you. As now that you're married, you have a new life, as if when you were a single person, you had a different life. And he says, how can you go from, this is all one life. This is life. Life throws you different situations and different and different things that you, different stages, different milestones, but it's all life. This is all one life that we have, and we should have a mission statement that transcends any situation that we're in, whether we're single, we're married, our kids are young, our kids have grown up. We still have the same mission statement. Nothing changes, and the menuchah has to reside only within our minds. And that's how he ends this. That's really what the tachlis for us is to avoid that confusion and to understand that that's what Kabbalas Torah really requires of us. So I wanted to share this just because it really throws, today everyone is sort of wanting to escape. We all, hear and see it, that everyone wants to escape and to a vacation, to rest and relaxation. And Rabbi Yeruchem is coming to tell us that, maybe that's not really what menuchah is truly all about.